North Central College's athletic programs began as simple field day community events. After 27 national championships and 111 individual national champions, the college's athletic program ranks among the elite in the nation. Today, North Central College welcomes 6 new members to its Athletic Hall of Fame. This 2011 class of inductees represents the best of the best among thousands of student athletes. As you're introduced to each inductee, you will see that in many ways their stories are similar to those of many other athletes. But they each had something extra that pushed them to greatness. John C. Jack Nothacker, class of 1960. Jack Nothacker was one of the Cardinals' top performers in his era for the football, baseball, and track and field squads. On the gridiron, Nothacker was an NAIA Little All-American in 1959, a 1959 All-CCI selection on both offense and defense, and a 1960 All-American Bowl participant. He was a 3-year track and field letter winner and a freshman record holder in discus throw. On the diamond, Nothacker was a 2-year letter winner and a starting pitcher. Byron Ware, class of 1963. On a roster full of trailblazers during North Central College's most successful era in men's swimming, Byron Ware was a major contributor to 3 NAIA team national championships. Ware was among the first African Americans in any level of collegiate swimming to win a national title. He was a recipient of 7 NAIA All-America certificates, a member of 4 straight College Conference of Illinois championship teams, the member of 3 NAIA national championship teams, and the 1961 200-yard breaststroke conference champion. Matt Richards, class of 1987. Long after his time as the pitching ace of some of the most successful baseball teams in North Central College history, Matt Richards remains a standard-bearer for future Cardinals. Richards was a 1987 NCAA Division III second-team All-American, a 2-time first-team All-CCIW selection, and was the 1987 CCIW Player of the Year. He remains the Cardinals' all-time leader in career wins, winning percentage, career shutouts, and single-season starts. Susan Bame Randazzo, class of 1990. As the first All-College Conference of Illinois and Wisconsin selection in the history of the North Central College volleyball program, Susan Bame Randazzo was a cornerstone for the Cardinals in the early days of CCIW competition. Randazzo is the only 4-time All-CCIW volleyball selection in school history, a 2-time All-CCIW volleyball tournament selection, and a member of the 1988 CCIW Championship volleyball team. Paula Monk Savora, class of 1992. Paula Monk Savora was the first female athlete to earn All-America honors in cross-country and indoor and outdoor track and field at North Central College. She was an All-American in cross-country, a 3-time All-American in track and field, the 1991 CCIW cross-country champion, and a 3-time CCIW outdoor 5,000-meter run champion. Savora graduated as the holder of 4 North Central records and is the 6th female North Central Athletic Hall of Fame inductee to have competed in track and field, but the first to have also competed in cross-country. Shawn Welti, class of 1990. As North Central College's 6th individual national champion in men's track and field, Shawn Welti was instrumental in establishing North Central as a perennial contender on the national scene. Welti was a 7-time NCAA Division III All-American, the 1988 Division III long jump national champion, a member of the 1989 NCAA Division III indoor and outdoor national championship teams, a member of 4 straight CCIW championship teams, and a 4-time individual CCIW champion. Congratulations to North Central College's 2011 Athletic Hall of Fame inductees. As the college celebrates its sesquicentennial, our Hall of Fame inductees leave a legacy to inspire future generations of North Central College Cardinals.
In the spring of 1987, I was still teaching in Lockport, but I had started to coach here, to coach track. and Shawn was a freshman. And he had been a track star at Kewanee and came to college, and the restriction of 4 events was lifted. So he came to college, and he thought he wanted to do everything. He wanted to run the 100 and the 200 and long jump and triple jump and run the 4x1 relay and run the hurdles, I think he had in mind. He wanted to do everything. So it took us a while, Coach Grammaroso and I, to kind of settle him down and say, Shawn, no, you got to learn to focus on just a few events, just a few events. You know, you can't do everything. And he accepted that. And that was a big step for us to get him to kind of get focused. At long jump, it became obvious pretty quickly that long jump was definitely one of his events. He was pretty successful early on. I remember a meet, I believe it was at COD, College of DuPage here. We were having a meet, and he was jumping pretty well. But it was really windy, and so we weren't really sure if, is this guy for real, or is this just the wind pushing him out there? But he was starting to look pretty good. He was really rounding into shape, and we thought, yeah, we might have something here. So his sophomore year came, and that really blossomed. You know, he got to indoor track. He was an All-American in the long jump. Got to outdoor track, and he was national champion. And you can read about it in the program. And he had much success after that. But I was asked by a number of people, what kind of stories are you going to tell about Shawn? Shawn was pretty much of a free spirit when he was here at North Central, and he had his fun. But it was that spirit that kind of made him the success that he was. That as I started thinking about, what am I going to talk about here? What stories can I tell? Some of these stories are not appropriate to tell to an audience of this type. But I will tell one that I think really kind of tells his story, too. I believe it was his sophomore year, and we had an indoor meet at the University of Chicago. And so it gets, some of these meets last pretty long. I think this was one of the larger meets, and so it lasted all day, and so it finally ends, and everybody's tired, and time to head to the bus, and so everybody, traipses out to the bus, and we were riding the bus home, and it must be 10 o'clock at night or so by now. We're getting into Naperville, and somebody decides they want to tell Shawn something. Shawn Welti. They figure they had to wake him up. Everybody starts looking around. Shawn's not on the bus. Oh my God. Well, now this is the days before cell phones. Turns out that Shawn was done with his events a little ways before the meet was over, and he went downstairs and took a shower. But he didn't tell anybody. So we had left. He was in the showers. Oh my God, what do we do? What do we do? He doesn't have a cell phone. You can't call him. There were no such things. Well, turns out, it didn't really bother Shawn all that much. He walked out, and the bus is gone. Oh, well, we're right on the campus of the University of Chicago, and turns out they have some fraternity houses, and Shawn managed to walk down the street and find a party. And he kind of worked things out. I think he spent a little time at the party before he worried about getting home. But he ended up taking a cab home, and, everything was fine, Shawn said, well, what are you guys so worried about? I was okay, he took care of himself. So, but that was kind of Shawn's attitude. In the field events, you get more than one chance at your performance, and it drove me a little nuts that Shawn, it just seemed like he wasn't taking it seriously. He'd foul on the board. If your toe goes over the board, that's no good. You don't get that measured, and he'd foul these jumps, and you think, oh, that would have been a really good jump, Shawn. You can't foul these. And it was kind of indicative, though, of Shawn's attitude towards it. He said, Coach, it only takes one jump. And I thought, at the time it drove me a little nuts, but he was right. It's important for a person in that kind of event to be able to, forget about the bad ones. You can't let that eat you up. And that was Shawn, that's okay. I've got another jump, coach. It'll be okay. I've got another jump. And more often than not, Shawn was someone who would come through in the clutch and put out a big jump when it was needed. Many times. I think the start of my hair change began with Shawn and his last jump heroics. It was hard to take sometimes. But that was really, more than anything, what I remembered about Shawn is that his free spirit attitude, and he knew that if he had another attempt and the pressure was on, he could come through and do it, and he did it over and over again. I've kept in touch with Shawn over the years. I've gotten to know his family a little bit. He's a wonderful person. He's teaching. Just a great person to represent North Central College, and a great honor for me to introduce him and for him to be in the Hall of Fame.
First of all, I'd like to thank Coach Malinsky for those kind words. It was Pete Bartleson and Doug Rivara, I think, that influenced me when I got to North Central College on that free spirit. I was much more studious and steadfast in my high school years. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to the Hall of Fame committee, Jimmy Miller, who chairs it up. And I'd like to say congratulations to all the rest of the inductees of this year's class and all the other members of the Hall of Fame. It's a very big honor to be a part of this group. Thank you very much. I'd like to say thank you especially to Coach Grammaroso and Coach Malinsky, as well as Coach Carius. I think back to when I was a senior in high school. I was all set to go to the University of Illinois. Had driven down, I think my dad had I think it was a 1971 blue Chevy Impala convertible that I blew a water gasket on it on the way down to Illinois to take some tests. But nonetheless, I got in even after having trouble. So I guess, things just don't bother me. And I make your way down there, as was noted in the trip back from Chicago. All set to go to Illinois. Was going to go to school, maybe walk on track and field, and just see kind of what happens. I ran track and field in high school with a guy by the name of Jim Vanadigan, and he had a cousin that was a swimmer here at North Central, and he said, well, let's go up there and take a look at North Central. Okay. And so we came up and met Grammy and met Al, and I'm like, wow, this is, how can you not meet Al Carius and not want to come here? So quick tour through admissions, and, next thing you know, Mom, Dad, I guess I'm going to North Central, and, oh, by the way, there's a little bit more of a cost involved than going to University of Illinois. But they were great with it, and they were just like, okay, if that's what you want to do. And so here I was. I think that was in June of 1986, and I graduated in May. So, September came along, and I played football for a few years, and Carlos Barba, played with him. It's good to see him again. And I was on the campus of North Central playing football and running track. And so, again, I'd like to say thank you to Mom and Dad, my mom, Pat, my dad, Jim, because if it wasn't for them, I would have never got to come here. And thanks to you guys for making it possible. I got my love of track and field from my dad. My dad, Jim, he was a high school and collegiate track and field athlete, football player. He competed for Rock Falls High School in Illinois, and then he went out to Doane College in Nebraska. He's also a Hall of Fame member of the Doane College Hall of Fame, and he was a track coach at Kewanee High School. I think I was probably 4, maybe 5 years old, and he brought home some sweats. And we lived in a trailer court at the time, and I still can remember this picture of me having these sweats on down in a stance to get out of the starting blocks. And I think that's just where my roots of the love of the track and field emanated from, and I loved it ever since. In high school, as I made my way up through, I loved the sprints, I loved the relays, I loved the field events. I loved them all. When I didn't have to do 4 events anymore, Coach Malinsky was right. I was like, let's do them. I can remember Dennis Piron gave me some shoes one time because I think I ran 10 events at an indoor meet at the University of Chicago. Back in those days, I'd have coaches on the high school team that would just say, well, go over there and run fast down that runway and jump as far as you can. And I was pretty good at it. I could make do. But when I got here to North Central College, I actually had a jump coach. Wow, it got specific. I was going to work on drills, and I got to do a lot of stuff that I had never learned before, and that was Coach Malinsky. And Coach, I'll always remember that. He's a math guy. He carried around this silver clipboard / you could lift it up and put things in it, and he would meticulously keep notes and distances. But other than that, we would be on the track, and we'd do these drills that I'd never done before. And if it wasn't for him and Coach Grammaroso, who was my sprint coach and developed my speed, none of these things that they've mentioned here tonight would have ever been possible. Because quite honestly, when I got here, I kind of blossomed, and it was because of the coaching that I was able to do the things that I did. So thank you, Coach Grammaroso, and thank you, Coach Malinsky. One little quick story before I go. When Coach Grammaroso and Coach Carius, and Jimmy, you said you were on that trip down there to Kewanee? These guys were popular. We must have had some pretty good athletes out there in the western part of the state with Susie and some of the guys that came here afterwards. I just want to say thank you for them coming out there, taking a chance on some kids from a small town with about a population of 10,000 and allowing us to be a part of this great college. And it's always great to be back on the campus of North Central College, and thank you very much.